This video is brought to you by the Deck of Many and their Animated Spells, Tarot, and More Kickstarter campaign. Welcome back to the Gallant Goblin. I'm Theo, and today we have a full case unboxing and showcase of the Icons of the Realm set of pre-painted minis, Tomb of Annihilation, released in the summer of 2017. A death curse has been unleashed upon the entire world, trapping and consuming the souls of those who die. Not only does the curse prevent the resurrection of the dead, but it causes those who have previously been resurrected to wither and die again. Adventurers must travel to the jungle island of Chult to find and break the curse. This adventure is not for the faint of heart. Why don't we open up these boxes and see what awaits us on the island of Chult? Redcaps are maniacal little fey creatures who appear at sites of great bloodlust or slaughter. At first, they just look like little blood-stained mushrooms pushing out of the ground. But when the moon comes out, they spring from the ground looking like homicidal, ill-kempt gnomes bent on murder. They appear in Descent into Avernus, War Machine Rebuild, and your cheesecake-fueled nightmares. They have a challenge rating of 3, and their stat block appears in Volo's Guide. The Batiri Goblin clans are native to the island of Chult and are known for their tracking abilities and ornately decorated wooden masks. They use a standard goblin stat block, which can be found in the basic rules. The Batiri Goblins appear in Tomb of Annihilation and One Grung Above, a short Chult-based adventure benefiting the Extra Life charity. Goblins have a challenge rating of 1/4. Vegepygmies are relatively unintelligent, true neutral, fungus creatures who live in dark areas of the jungle in small tribal units, hunting for sustenance and spreading their spores. They prefer to eat fresh meat, bone, and blood, and don't so much have a regular verbal language, so you can kind of see where the troubles might arise. Vegepygmies appear in Tomb of Annihilation and as Golgari creatures in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. They were introduced in Volo's Guide. A regular Vegepygmy has a CR of 1/4, and a Vegepygmy Chief has a CR of 2. The Chief has the added ability of spreading spores, poisoning their foes. Like koalas, on which these guys are based, Zorbos are little fuzzy creatures who live in trees and caves and who feast on human flesh that they tear off with their long, sharp claws. They can be an adventuring party's worst nightmare, as they can destroy and absorb the protective properties of armor, shields, and protective magical items. They also gain protection from the type of ground on which they're standing, and, just like regular koalas, they have a challenge rating of 1/2. Criminally, they only appear in Tomb of Annihilation so far. The paint job on the little Zorbo leaves a little bit to be desired and makes the details of the mini rather hard to discern when it's on the table. The island of Chult is known for its dinosaur population, including the Velociraptor, which is described as a feathered dinosaur about the size of a large turkey, which seems to understate the threat that it might pose to your average adventurer. They travel in packs and have the special pack tactics feature, giving them advantage on many attack rolls, and with the multi-attack property, they can cause some serious damage. However, they only have a challenge rating of 1/4. They only appear in Tomb of Annihilation at this point, though their stat block is in Volo's Guide. This is one of many creatures in this set to have a variant. This cleverly named creature is unique to Tomb of Annihilation. A skeleton key is a skeleton who has had his or her skull carved into a particular shape. We have 3 variants here, though there are 5 listed in the adventure itself. As you may guess, the party has to collect them in order to unlock a particular lock. Skeleton keys use an altered skeleton stat block. They are a fantastic little puzzle that you can drop into any of your ongoing campaigns, and it's one of the only ABC variants out there. We got one of each in our case. This human druid mini is based on the artwork for an NPC in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure named Qawasha. Qawasha is one of several guides who offer their services to the party to navigate the dense and dangerous jungles of Chult. Qawasha is a member of the Emerald Enclave and wants to eradicate undead from the island alongside his trusty Vegepygmy companion, Qawat, also known affectionately as Weed. So, if this guy joins the party, you'll have a mini for both him and his companion. I'm always happy to get new minis to represent common monsters that generally travel in packs. So here are 2 new Orc minis to add to your collection. Unlike some variants with subtle differences, these have quite different clothing colors and styles of weapon, so if you mix them in with your other Orc minis on the table, folks may not even recognize that they're essentially the same sculpt. Orcs were also introduced as a playable race in Volo's Guide to Monsters. There's no specific stat block for a Chultan Zombie, but no one is denying that Chult has an undead infestation, hence the presence of Qawasha and Weed. In fact, undead creatures have nearly taken over the entire island. As a GM, you'll have access to a map detailing where the undead populations are on the island, including spots where they're densely packed. A zombie is usually born of dark magic and infused with evil, ready to attack any living creature that passes near. The Monodrone are a collection of mechanical beings that live in a hive-like structured hierarchy. They originate in the plane of Mechanus and serve as a cog in the clockwork machine of perfect order that is their society. Monodrones are the lowest form of Monodrone. They are only able to perform one simple task at a time and can only send one message of up to 48 words. They report to the Duodrones. They are too simple to understand any more advanced Monodrones. They appear in Out of the Abyss, Descent into Avernus, Tomb of Annihilation, Lost Laboratory of Qualish, and Acquisitions Incorporated. Their stat block appears in the Monster Manual, and they have a CR of 1/8. Sioux monsters have been a part of D&D for a long time, but they were brought into 5th edition with Tomb of Annihilation. They are psionically empowered primate-like creatures who are considered monstrosities. Travelers exploring the jungle may be completely unaware of the Sioux monsters sleeping in the trees overhead, hanging upside down from their tails. They're intelligent enough to use tools and weapons, but typically prefer to rend their prey with their teeth and claws, or stay at a distance and attack and stun them with their psionic abilities. They have a CR of 1. Despite their cute appearance, Firenewts are aggressive, militaristic little jerks. They live in areas of volcanic activity or hot and humid conditions. They are neutral evil creatures who have a theocratic society that worships Imix, the Prince of Evil Fire. You may recognize Imix from the Princess of the Apocalypse adventure. We have 2 variants in this set corresponding to the Firenewt Warrior and the Firenewt Warlock of Imix stat blocks. They have a CR of 1/2 and 1 respectively. Their stat blocks are in Tomb of Annihilation and they're expanded upon in Volo's Guide. Happily, the Aldani are far less evil and cruel than the Firenewts, though they are reclusive and xenophobic. The Aldani lobster folk used to live in abundance on the island of Chult, though they haven't been seen in a very long time. It's widely believed that they've been wiped out completely, though we have a few minis here, so I'll let you draw your own conclusions. The Aldani try to avoid confrontation, instead preferring to frighten intruders away or just pay people to go away. They have a CR of 1 and are found in Tomb of Annihilation. These uncommon skeletons are variants of the skeleton keys from earlier, just without the specially carved skulls. Now, this is one of those rare times when you might be able to have a puzzle to present to your players using your actual minis. You can mention to your party that they need to find the pieces of a skeleton key, and then have them meet groups of regular skeletons with a special skeleton key minis interspersed among them. If this is something that you've tried with this set, let me know how it goes. A regular skeleton has a CR of 1/4 with a stat block in the basic rules. Valindra Shadowmantle is an elven scholarly wizard that the party may encounter in Chult. She is on a mission to imprison and study the Soulmonger, the necromantic device behind the death curse, making sure that it's safe from evil hands. She may join the party on part of their adventures. Her mini could also be used as a female spellcaster, druid, or similar. The Duodrone is, as you might have guessed, the second tier of Monodrone units. They control the Monodrones and are commanded by the Tridrones. They're able to perform 2 tasks at once, which translates into a stat block with a multi-attack option. Otherwise, these devices, as long as they're operating properly, will carry out their instructions to the letter and will not let anything interfere with their mission. A Duodrone has a CR of 1/4. You may have seen my Werebear friend here making cameo appearances in previous Gallant Goblin videos, along with the Aldani. They are powerful lycanthropes, generally good-natured and able to control their violent impulses, though they do tend to live solitary existences, as they're often afraid that if they do lose control, they could cause a lot of harm. Keep in mind that player characters can be infected with lycanthropy. Again, if you have good stories about one of your characters and your campaigns becoming a lycanthrope, I'd love to hear about it in the comments section down below. A Werebear has a CR of 5 and has a stat block in the basic rules. Werebear show up in Eberron Rising from the Last War, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, and in random encounter tables in Xanathar's Guide and Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Tabaxi are a cat-like race of humanoids driven by, naturally, curiosity to collect shinies, gather stories, see everything the world has to offer, scratch up my couch, and sit in my lap when I try to play Animal Crossing. Their wanderlust, agility, and sparkling personalities make them great adventurers, which is great since they were made a playable race in Volo's Guide to Monsters. They appear in Explorer's Guide to Wildmount and in Tomb of Annihilation, where you will find a stat block for a Tabaxi Hunter with a CR of 1, and a Tabaxi Minstrel with a CR of 1/4. Artus Cimber is a famous D&D character and a member of the Harpers. For his full history, you can read the D&D novel The Ring of Winter, which was published in 1992. He makes his presence, or lack thereof, known in Storm King's Thunder and Tomb of Annihilation. This mini has also served me well as a generic Ranger character mini. Asharra is an older Aarakocra NPC who the adventurers may encounter in their explorations of Chult and Tomb of Annihilation. As we don't have many Aarakocra minis, this one is generic enough to use for a variety of player character classes. In my current Storm King's Thunder campaign, we're using Artus Cimber for our Ranger and Asharra for our Aarakocra Monk. We don't lack for Yuan-Ti minis in the Icons of the Realms collection. The Storm King's Thunder set contained 4 different types of Yuan-Ti, though none appeared in the actual adventure. The Yuan-Ti do have a large presence in Tomb of Annihilation, though. Many Broodguards are created by the Yuan-Ti from humanoid prisoners. They're transformed into these simple-minded, angry creatures who are compelled to follow Yuan-Ti orders. They have a CR of 2 and can be found in Volo's Guide. Dao are evil, greedy, prideful genie slavers from the elemental plane of Earth. They don't have a lot of friends due to their covetous nature, plus the fact that most other beings don't look kindly upon slave traders. Ironically, their greedy nature makes them somewhat easy prey for powerful wizards who lure them into the material plane with promises of riches, and then enslave the Dao in turn by trapping them into iron flasks or otherwise magically compel them into servitude. Dao have a CR of 11 and can be found in the Monster Manual. Dao appear in a surprising number of adventures, including Tomb of Annihilation, Descent into Avernus, Princess of the Apocalypse, Rise of Tiamat, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and in random Underdark encounter tables in Xanathar's Guide. Merrow are merfolk who were transformed by an idol of Demogorgon and called into the Abyss, where they were further corrupted into madness and cruelty by the Prince of Demons. Now they wreak havoc along the waterways and fill their undersea caves with treasures, marking their territory with the bodies of their slain foes tied to the ocean floor with strands of kelp. Merrow have a CR of 2 and can be found in the basic rules. They also appear in a large number of adventures, including Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Storm King's Thunder, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, Out of the Abyss, Rise of Tiamat, Princess of the Apocalypse, and Dragon Heist. Kamadan are large monstrosities that were introduced to 5th edition in Tomb of Annihilation. This amalgamation creature resembles a leopard with 6 snakes sprouting from its shoulders. Its secret weapon is a soporific gas that it can emit, causing nearby foes to fall asleep. It finishes off any threats before feasting on its helpless, unconscious prey. A Kamadan has a CR of 4. In the land of dinosaurs, the Pterafolk evolved into a relatively intelligent, though malevolently isolationist society. Nicknamed Terror Folk by the locals, they often swoop down and snatch who and what they want before carrying it back to their nests. They speak common, but you're better off staying out of sight by making sure to stay under the heavy jungle canopy, lest you be spirited away and onto a dinosaur's dinner plate. Pterafolk have a CR of 1 and are found in Tomb of Annihilation. Giant scorpions are exactly what they sound like. Large beasts that can poison you with their stinger. A few other interesting things to note about them. They can be summoned by a couple of Druid spells, so if your Druid likes to bring his animal friends around to play, this might be a good mini to keep in your handy plastic box labeled Commonly Summoned Creatures. Also, the plating of the giant scorpion can be fashioned into magical heavy armor that grants a bonus to initiative and doesn't interfere with your ability to be stealthy. However, it brings along with it a fairly hefty curse. Ultimately, it's a pretty fun item to introduce into your campaign. A giant scorpion has a CR of 3 and is found in the basic rules. The Mantrap is a CR1 carnivorous plant that is, of course, based on the Venus flytrap, just for people. Since no sane creature would approach something like this, it has the ability to release a magical pollen that can compel creatures to come closer. When a creature comes within 5 feet of it, the Mantrap eats it. Mantraps are found on Chult and in Tomb of Annihilation. Girallons are your typical 4-armed predatory ape with a magical origin and a nasty disposition. While they're often found in jungle environments, they seem to have an attraction to humanoid structures or ruins. No one quite knows why, but sages speculate that they may have been originally created to serve as guardians for an ancient fallen civilization. If a baby Girallon is found, raised and trained, it may be groomed into a dependable guard ally. Girallons appear in Tomb of Annihilation and Infernal War Machine Rebuild. They have a CR of 4 with a stat block in Volo's Guide. The Nycaloths stand on the sidelines of the blood war between the demons and the devils, often working as mercenaries for the highest bidder. The Nycaloths are the elite Nycaloth shock troops. Their wings enable them to get into the thick of battle where they can rend flesh with their claws and teeth. They're then able to teleport away before their foes can counterstrike. This combination of power, agility, and intelligence gives this impressive foe a CR of 9. Their stat block is in the Monster Manual, and they appear in Rise of Tiamat, Princess of the Apocalypse, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and Tomb of Annihilation. Ras Nsi is the leader of the Yuan-Ti in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure, and can play a variety of roles in the adventure depending on the way the party approaches the challenges presented to them. He's a spellcaster with the ability to raise the dead, and he wields a flame-tongue longsword and bracers of defense, all of which give him a CR of 7. If you want to add the Yuan-Ti into your homebrew adventures, having a mini to serve as the ruler can make for a great capstone encounter. 2 races that are well represented in the Icons of the Realms line are the Yuan-Ti and the Nycaloths. The Ultroloths are the commanders of the Nycaloth armies, whether that be in officially sanctioned war, or in their spare time, as crime bosses and criminal syndicates, or the shady commanders of unsanctioned mercenary armies. They aren't frontline fighters, and their defensive arcane abilities keep them safe and out of harm's way. Ultroloths appear in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Descent into Avernus, and the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Nothics will be the first fascinating D&D monsters that many modern D&D players will encounter in the Lost Mines of Phandelver adventure. The first thing people notice about them is their massive central eye and alien features. They trace their existence back to the powerful Lich Vecna and possess the ability to peer into the minds of their foes and extract their innermost secrets. They also appear in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Rick and Morty, Princess of the Apocalypse, Descent into Avernus, and in random Underdark encounters in Xanathar's Guide. They have a CR of 2 and are found in the basic rules. Nanny Pu'pu is a green hag who can play an interesting role in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure. She claims her village was wiped out by Pterafolk and asks the adventurers to help her drive them off once and for all. She has other interesting services to offer, and companions that she can call forth if needed. She uses the Green Hag stat block, which has a CR of 3. The Couatl is my favorite mini in this set. Based on Aztec lore, the Couatls are benevolent celestial beings created as guardians or caretakers of sacred sites or people by a god long since forgotten. Now, with their celestial mandates fulfilled or failed, they continue to meet their commitments as well as they can. They're able to polymorph at will to keep their true natures hidden. Couatls have a CR of 4 with their stat blocks in the basic rules. They appear in Storm King's Thunder, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, Eberron Rising from the Last War, Tales from the Yawning Portal, and in random encounter tables in Xanathar's Guide. Acererak is the big bad of the Tomb of Annihilation adventure with a CR of 23. He's an Arch-Lich who has a passion for devouring the souls of adventurers. Everyone needs a hobby. He likes to lure these adventurers into dungeons laden with deadly traps. The mini is impressive with a translucent spell effect and would make a great villain for most any campaign. Dragonbait is a Sariel, an alien, dinosaur-like race that's extremely rare in the Forgotten Realms. Since his language is incomprehensible to most, he communicates via scent. He can excrete a number of recognizable scents which each relate to a different emotional state, like joy, which smells like lemon, fear, which smells like violets, and anxiety, which smells like ham, naturally. Let me know in the comments section below some other scent emotion combinations we should all include for Dragonbait if he appears in one of our adventures. He is a character in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure. Minsc and Boo are a bit special. They originated in a D&D session held by James Olin, who incorporated them into his beloved computer D&D game, Baldur's Gate. They were canonized in the main D&D continuity for the first time, I believe, with Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, where you can find a statue of them. Minsc is a ranger, and Boo is his miniature, giant space hamster companion. If you're curious what James Olin has been up to lately, check out our video review of Odyssey of the Dragonlords by clicking the eye in the corner of your screen. A Merrow is a 6-armed demon who often serves as the captain of demonic armies. This is probably my second favorite mini in the set. She's able to attack 7 times per turn, with each of her swords and her tail. She can also take a reaction on each player's turn, either striking with an attack of opportunity or parrying one of their blows. If the tide turns against her, she can teleport 120 feet away to make an easy escape. A Merrow has a CR of 16, and her stat block is in the basic rules. A Merrow appears in Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, and Ghost of Saltmarsh. Dragloths are ogre-sized, 4-armed, half-drow, half-glabrezu demons, born from, of course, unholy rituals. They possess both physical and arcane might, making them formidable foes. They're often created by drow houses preparing to strike out at their rivals. Dragloths have a CR of 7 and appear in Volo's Guide. They haven't yet appeared in any official D&D adventures to my knowledge. This is certainly the most unusual mini to appear maybe in any Icons of the Realm set. This mammoth and heavy mini represents a stone juggernaut, which is a rolling construct imbued with some semblance of awareness, more or less like my Roomba. Though, while my Roomba just likes to roll over spilled litter and cat poop, the stone juggernaut rolls down dungeon corridors and crushes adventurers. The first time it hits a creature, it may knock it prone. The next round, it may crush them permanently. They're faster than your average adventurer with a speed of 50, but they aren't maneuverable. This mini and stat block can make a great trap for your home games. They appear in Tomb of Annihilation. In case you're curious, the stone juggernaut does have a regular base underneath. The capstone mini for this set is the aptly named Giant 4-Armed Gargoyle, which does appear in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure as a CR 10 monster and Tomb Guardian. It functions pretty much like a regular gargoyle, but it's able to make 5 attacks per round with the usual gargoyle resistances and immunities. While this mini may not appear super exciting, it is at least a creature that can be dropped into most any campaign to give your meddling adventurers a tough fight. This set also includes 1 invisible mini in each brick. You won't get all of them in a case, as there are 10 in total that I'm aware of, but they are just the same sculpts made in translucent plastic material. This set released between Monster Menagerie 2 and the quite impressive Monster Menagerie 3, and I think Tomb of Annihilation marks a true turning point in the quality of the Icons of the Realms minis. While they continued to improve their paint jobs in the years that followed, these are all quite detailed and well done. This set also includes just a ton of variants, making you feel like you're getting way more unique minis for your money. There's 56 different sculpts in the set when you count all the variants separately, not including invisibles. It's certainly the set you need to get if you're running the Tomb of Annihilation or any jungle-based campaign, and it doesn't suffer from the same problem as Storm King's Thunder, where a large portion of the minis were for creatures that didn't actually appear in the adventure. Here, you'll use most everything. The one thing this set doesn't really have a ton of are player character minis. You have Minsc and Qawasha the Druid, Artus Cimber the Ranger, the Tabaxi and the Aarakocra, but that's about it. Personally, I quite appreciate getting more monsters than NPCs or PCs, and I'm quite okay with having the named NPCs from the adventure, those minis that you can use as other player characters in other campaigns. Several of the minis represent creatures that present interesting story opportunities too, which is something I'm always looking for. You can craft some fun adventures around the Couatl, the Merrow, the Dow, and the Green Hag. And Acererak and Ras Nsi make some great big bads too. Nothing from this set arrived broken, and the bending was limited to a few of the swords and staves. Overall, with its diversity, build quality, and creature selection, I think it makes a great set. Tomb of Annihilation released alongside a premium set called Tombs and Traps, which we'll review in a separate video. If we've released it by the time you're watching this, you can see it by clicking the eye in the corner of your screen. And with Tomb of Annihilation, we have officially reviewed every booster set in the Icons of the Realms lineup through Eberron Rising from the Last War. You can check out our playlist to see all our Icons videos, as well as videos we've done for Pathfinder battles. Let me know what you think of this set by leaving me a comment down below. We want to thank our sponsor for this video, the Deck of Many. They have a new Kickstarter to develop and produce new animated spell cards and animated tarot cards. We reviewed their first set of animated spell cards in a video you can see by clicking the eye in the corner of your screen. This set will include animated, waterproof, tarot-sized cards for 6th to 9th level spells. They have 8 frames of lenticular animation on the front, and all the info you need to cast a spell on the back. Plus, they're producing a deck of animated tarot cards with Cami, the artist who did their deck of many animated things, and you can see some of them right here for the first set. Learn more about the Kickstarter at animatedspells.com. If you enjoyed the video today, you can click the little thumbs up button down below and leave us a comment. All those little interactions make it more likely that the video will show up for others who may be not familiar with us yet. If you have a question, leave them down below, or check our FAQ at gallantgoblin.com. As always, I appreciate all your continued support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.